What advice do you have for a young Black lawyer?
If you're doing it for the money, do it for the money. For me, it's all and only about the people.
D, I know you. Leah Davis is a magnet for trouble. Promise you won't take her case. I'm putting quotes on case.
You are so bad. Leah, you want to tell me what's going on?
I tried to do the right thing at work. Got myself into a mess of trouble. I need your help.
D, we've made it 20 years without going up against each other in court. Let's not do it now. You and me are gonna pop that bottle. We won't talk about the case, and it'll be like old times.
D, they're watching me.
Delilah, I'm gonna have the resources of the largest firm in Charlotte, and all you're gonna have is Leah Davis.
I might have the truth.
So how's the big case?
It's getting bigger all the time.
She wants things escalated. She wants a mess. D, I know that you're upset about what happened. Believe me, I am too. But we can't fall apart over this.
Hi, my name is Gil Robertson, president of the African American Film Critics Association. Today we have a real treat as we talk to the creative team and talent behind the upcoming OWN show, Delilah. We're going to kick things off by introducing you to the members of AAFCA who are on the call today, starting with Carolyn Hines in Toronto, Kathia Woods in Philadelphia, our facilitator, Nancy Greene in Los Angeles, KB in Houston, Mercedes Springer in Atlanta, Kim Singleton in New York City, and Jonita Davis in Indiana, and Jill Monroe in Los Angeles. And we'll probably have a member or two pop in as well. I'm gonna kick things off by letting you guys do your thing. I'll see you on the other side.
Hi, KB here with the Color Grade podcast, and my question is for Craig. So over the course of the development of this show, I've seen the first 4 episodes. They're fantastic, and I'm really loving the direction that these characters are going in. But talk a little bit about, which character was the most rewarding to flesh out over the course of this season?
Which character was the most rewarding? Well, I mean, considering I have Maahra and Jill here, that's a very dangerous question. Better to say maybe Dion, little Dion. No, I definitely think the most rewarding character, so to speak, is actually the friendship dynamic between Delilah and Tamara. Midway through the development of the show, we had a whole other storyline that then we scrapped because of the way things went in America, where we just decided we didn't need to do that story anymore. So we changed the story and we totally focused it on Delilah and Tamara and their friendship. And it really helped coalesce the show and what the show could be about. Not just for those two, but for all the friendships and relationships between the Black women on the show. But watching their sisterhood fray over the course of the season and just beginning to get little hints about where the blind spots in that relationship are and what the struggles that both of them have faced are that maybe each one of them isn't quite as attuned to as they thought they were. Because obviously any woman in the world, but certainly Black women in America, have a lot of compromises they got to make along the way to pick and choose what kind of life they want. And these two characters have made a lot of very specific choices. And so over the course of the season, those choices and the effects of those choices bump up against each other. So, I mean, if the fun of writing is digging in to the questions no one has maybe taken the time to ask quite clearly yet, that was definitely the most inspiring part of the process.
Hi, Carolyn, First Here's What Happened podcast, and my question is for Jill. So for your character, Tamara, she's at this point in her relationship with Delilah where everything seems to be slowly falling apart, but her relationship with her fiance, Casey, is becoming more solidified. Like they've made this commitment to get married and everything. Could you tell me what it's like playing a character who's at this basically a crossroads between the two major relationships in her life and then having to deal with everything and how it ties into her profession as well.
You know, I just have to say, just as an actor, I think I lean toward those type of women. I am drawn to dynamic women that have struggle. And so that was really exciting for me. I was really happy to explore that. And also too, even though Delilah and Tamara, they've known each other since junior high school, but they're really like sisters. And even though I'm sure they have had some bumps along the way, but never to this point, you know. And I'll be honest, it was fun for me to try to figure out how to navigate through that. So I actually I actually loved it because you really get to see the true dynamic of what that sisterhood looks like on this show. And I'm just so excited for everyone to be able to see.
Hi everyone, Kathia Woods, Couple Soul Show out of Philadelphia. My question is for you, Jill. You've made a career out of playing strong women and also women that aren't afraid to be vulnerable. What would you say is, with this dynamic, again, it's hard, like Craig said, you have two women that are really close, but for career-wise, survival, or having to cross a bridge, that tests all of that. How would you approach that as a friend? Would you go forward, or what is more important, the career or the sisterhood?
You're talking about Jill Marie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Me?
Yes.
Well, I'm like mashed potatoes. Let's be very clear. I play these. I feel like I'm a strong woman, but also too, I have a huge, huge heart, and Tamara does as well. But yeah, I would definitely. It's hard. It's with the Tamara Delilah relationship. Delilah's name is on the door. Tamara works for a company, so it's kind of an interesting dynamic there because, I work for somebody, so it's kind of hard. I mean, of course, I would choose family and friendship, but at the end of the day, it's like, you have a job. So what do? I think it's easier if you work for yourself to be able to make those kind of strong decisions. But Jill, I would definitely choose family and friendship first, but then it gets murky waters when, you work for somebody else,
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nancy Greene, and my question is for Jill. So I was wondering, with this character, like you mentioned, you've played a lot of dynamic characters and a lot of very strong characters that have had strong friendships and things like that. And I wanted to know, for this character, how was it different going into this role, especially because of her being a high-powered lawyer, and as we've seen so far in this first season, dealing with such an intense case while her life is also getting better?
Again, maybe it's kind of the same answer, but I think I'm just an actress that just really loves to just run toward that kind of stuff. I think I like to be challenged in that way, and the writing is so amazing on this show. Yeah, I think that's where I swim. It's, so for me, it was just an amazing situation for someone who just really likes to dive into the dark, I guess. So again, I really enjoy it, and the writing is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mercedes. I'm with She Critiques in Atlanta. My question is for Craig. In creating a show about Black women and the target demographic pretty much being for Black women, I'm wondering if you have a diverse collaborative team or where your inspiration comes from in researching the stories and developing this story about Black women.
Definitely, we have a diverse and collaborative team, and that diversity and spirit of collaboration extends not just, well, it starts with me and Oprah, right? Because, I'm not a showrunner in the traditional model. I work for Oprah Winfrey, and I'm very proud to say that. And so everything starts with conversations with Oprah, with what do you want to say? What's your intention with your network? What's your intention as a creator of media? How can I help do that. So the collaboration with Black women starts there. Then it extends into the writer's room, where we had many Black women and Black men who contributed to the writing of the show. But then I think it might be interesting to ask Maahra and Jill about the process, because definitely they are equal partners in the formation of these characters. I don't pretend to create this stuff whole cloth at all. What I do is try to come up with good ideas for stories that are homegrown in the city where they're happening, homegrown in the sense that they have a pertinence to the characters. And then I ask everybody, like, now tell me what to do. Tell me how it should be, right? Also, by the way, that diversity and collaborative spirit extends to the network and the studio, where we have Black partners in the executive positions around the show who are always giving me notes and telling me, do this, do that. I don't think it would be that way. You know, I came into this business almost 25 years ago from the ministry. That's used to be my job before this. And so I was very much already trained by life to understand processes, creative processes as collaborative, and saw myself much more as an aggregator and a gatherer of voices than as a lonely creator. And so I just keep trying to run the show that way, especially shows like Greenleaf and now Delilah, where I literally stand humbly at the bottom of the pyramid. And the greatest gift of this show for me is that I get to always be learning. I get to be learning what it's like to be other people, and hopefully growing in empathy and understanding. And the fact that I can lend a little bit of what I've learned over 20 years of making TV to the process, I'm just happy to be part of it. But it really is a family, and it really is a collaboration. And I would say I'm not the primary voice in that thing. The voice is Oprah, and I am just a lucky partner in the game.
Hello, everyone. Kim Singleton out of New York City, consider it Blacklit television show. And I love the first 4 episodes. I can't wait to see how the storylines unfold. But I particularly found the character Demetria very interesting, specifically because it was shared that she went to Howard University, my alma mater, HU, you know. So my question is, what was the significance of sharing that piece of information with the audience that she went to Howard University, which is a historically Black college?
I assume this question is for me?
Yes, it is.
Okay, hi. Nice to meet you. I'm glad you're liking the show so far. I think that was, it was kind of a twofold or threefold decision. First of all, even back in Greenleaf, you know, we made a point of saying that Lady May was an alumni of Lane College. And when she had some episodes where she dealt with her old friend, Maxine. And as a result of that, Lane actually sent me a sweatshirt with the Lane insignia on it. But this all stems from a desire to just bring the reality of Black life forward, even in the little details of things, so that Black reality on television doesn't dissolve into just TV tropes that have no specificity. If that makes any sense. You know, early on in Greenleaf, there was an episode where the bishop talked about Black Lives Matter, and he preached at that point about Black living. He said, yes, Black Lives Matter, but also Black living. And what I mean by that is we want to infuse the show as much as possible. It's hard on TV because things are always getting trimmed away to make story. But you want to drop those things in that just remind people about the specifics of Black life. And certainly the HBCUs are a major part of that. Now, it also happened to be that Karen Cornet, who was one of the writers on the show, was an alumni of Howard. And so that's another reason why we did it. But also Demetria as a character, she's very proud of where she came from. She's very proud of her resume, you know, her curriculum vitae. And so wherever she went to school, you knew you were going to hear about it. So it might as well be an HBCU if we're going to do a show about Black women. Like, let's get specific.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Jonita Davis from the Black Cape. Craig kind of answered a little bit of this question, but this is for Maahra. You are the lead in this TV show that comes from a network that's headed by a Black woman, and Craig has talked about all the diversity behind the scenes. Over the past year, we've talked about, we've heard stories and we heard people call for the need for this diversity, the need for this. It seems like you're there. So could you talk about, how different is it to work in this environment versus, your standard Hollywood, studio where, you've got the white executives maybe and, the spaces that need to be changed versus the one you're in right now that seems to be ideal?
Yeah, ideal. I would for sure. And back to what Craig was saying, he's, I think, one of the most probably collaborative creator showrunners I think that you could ever have. And I take that also from talking to Jill about it throughout the season. I've had a smaller bit of experience comparatively, but his collaboration and his collaborative spirit was amazing throughout. I think very much about the images that are portrayed within our community and how destructive they can be and how responsible our industry is for some of the ways that we're seen. So to be aligned with Oprah and the Oprah Winfrey Network, someone whose image and position and presence just in the world, period, has been nothing but constructive and representing us in such a beautiful way. It meant the world to me to be able to, I'm sorry, these things keep skipping around. I'm like trying to find you. I'm like, oh, where'd you go? Oh, there you go. It meant the world to me, to be able to work. I think the industry in general is kind of progressing in that regard. We're making, we're seeing more images that are true to who we are. And I think one of the things that the show does is it speaks specifically to the authentic, real life that we have. We're taking care of our kids, we're working at our job, we're managing our friendships, we're getting in arguments with people, and we're still carrying on with our day. You know what I mean? So relative to an experience where I just have to come and show up and do what you said I need to do, the only, real power I have is to choose, what I would want to portray as a Black woman. And this experience has, I think in spades spoken to who I believe us to be.
Jill Monroe, JacksonStilettoJill.com. My question is also for Maahra. When you received the script and you saw the breakdown for Delilah, what were your favorite traits or what were you drawn to about this character that made you want to say, yes, I'm there?
Her commitment to motherhood is similar to mine. I just, she puts her children first. She worked at a high-powered law firm and she turned towards hanging up her own shingle so that she could be there for them, make dinner and drop them off and pick them up and ask them questions about their day. That, and then her being a voice for the voiceless. I feel just the way that she is committed to making sure that the underdog has some, is seen and heard and spoken for and has, a battle that is fought on their behalf. The way that she is in with friendship with Tamara, you know what I mean? And the way that she is in friendship with herself and her own integrity. She leads with integrity. So that I think in general, in every relationship, her work relationship, her friendships, her family, she leads with integrity. And so that was powerful for me.
Can I respond to that, Jill?
Please.
I feel like we've been doing some of these interviews and I've never told this story. And so I can't think of a better group of people to tell this story to. So, Oprah, after Greenleaf, was starting to wrap up that chapter of Greenleaf anyway. I look forward to another one coming soon. But Oprah and I were talking about what to do next. And we wanted to expand the palette a little bit, get beyond the Black church and get it into something that could be more about Black womanhood in America in general. And, it wasn't a simple answer. It took a while to find it. And I had definitely acquired a lot of ideas after listening to Black women for 5 years working on Greenleaf, but I still wasn't quite sure what to do. And I live in Altadena, California, a city that's north of Pasadena, and which historically has a pretty large Black population for the size of it. The town is about 42% Black. And there is a Black-owned business on Fair Oaks Avenue called the Little Red Hen, and it's a coffee shop and a diner. And so I was at my wit's end, like I don't know what to do. And so I knew the lady at the Little Red Hen, just glancingly. And so I pulled off the side of the road. I went into the Little Red Hen and I ordered a cup of coffee and I said, "Can I just ask you a question?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, and she doesn't know what I do, right? I said, "Well, what do you want to see on TV? Right? What do you want to see?" And she launched in to an answer that had nothing to do with television whatsoever. I said, "What do you want to see on TV?" And she said, "Well, you know what? You should make a show about me because I'm doing this at home and I'm doing this with my kids and I'm doing this with this workplace and I'm holding all of this together and nobody sees how much I'm doing." And I was like, "Thank you, God. You just told me what to do." And I went away and I thought, Delilah has to be for her. Delilah has to show that about how hard she thinks she's got it and how nobody sees how hard she's got it. And that was the beginning, really, of my answer to Oprah's question when Oprah's like, "What are we going to do next?" And I'm like, after I talked to the lady at the Little Red Hen, I knew what to do. And that's Delilah and that's Maahra, and she's delivered it.
Hey, it's Ronda Penrice. This is kind of for Charles in the sense that, you are from Charlotte. Talk about how gratifying it is as a creator to be able to return to the South and put a contemporary spin on what the Black South is now.
I love that question. I love doing this show for that exact reason. When I'd worked on Greenleaf and I knew Craig from the theater, and when he called me about the show, I said, "Of course I'll do this." And he said it was set in Charlotte. And I went, "What?" And I said, "You know where I'm from, right?" And to go back and to show this city that we've never seen on television in this way was extraordinary, because Charlotte, as I call it, has become the new city. There's a Black mayor, a Black sheriff, a Black chief of police. I went to speak to the city council, and I remember when the first person of color got on the council, I walked in, there was 75% of that council were people of color. And I almost started crying because I just thought, look, in a time when there is no change, when we feel things have not progressed at all, I went back to this city and saw this change that was profound to me. So I realized in this show, we had an opportunity to give people hope in a time when they don't have it. I mean, we're to find joy in the middle of desperation, because we've all been depressed for the past 4 years, especially, but to come out of that and find this place that you've not seen, these women that you've not seen portrayed the way in which, especially Maahra and Jill portray them, and to talk to them, because I adore these two women so much. Working with them, it was like watching the Williams sisters play tennis. Okay, they met, I mean, the two of them together formed, and you've seen many of the shows, so they have this bond that I've not really seen portrayed. And when you do see it, it's over the top. It's a different type of way. And these women, to me, are the women I knew in Charlotte. These are the women with whom I went to college with. These are the people in my family. I mean, how great for my family, as I said, to get to see themselves in their city. So it was a huge circle and coming back home for me to realize, wow, look at the place where, from whence I came, look at this and look how it changed. And so that gives me such hope that we all can change. And that's what I hope this show does.
I suspect after it airs, people will be like, "Oh, Charles did that. Charles put Charlotte on the TV like that."
Because of COVID, I couldn't see people. I say, my family, who I have so much family there, I said, the bad news is that my family couldn't come to the set, but the good news is that my family couldn't come. So it was, and so many people, I have at least 100 friends I went to college with in that city. I couldn't call them because I couldn't see them. We were under strict protocols. We couldn't visit. I didn't go to restaurants. We didn't do anything because of COVID and how we had to follow that. So they did an article about me in the paper, and I got this avalanche of people saying, you're in town, you have to come see. I was like, I can't visit you. I can't do anything but to get this show up. So I can't wait to go back now and actually see them. And because of that, there was something that happened that we became family so quickly. And the women I know, and Craig especially, feel this, that we had each other because we couldn't do our normal realm of being out there in the world. We had to really stick together and get to this finish line, which in the beginning, believe me, I didn't know how we do it. It was the most challenging thing you can imagine, and then became the most inspiring thing you can imagine.
So I have a question for Maahra, and you said that you love playing Delilah because of what she represents and how she's an advocate for people who need advocacy. She's someone who's willing to stand up for people who aren't able to fight for themselves. And for the thing that I find really interesting with Delilah is she's very sure of who she is. She always knows when she knows she's right. She's very steadfast in what direction she wants to take, whether it's professionally or with raising her kids. And could you tell me a little bit about not only playing a character who's so sure of herself, but also one who I think is beginning to question herself with regards to her relationship with Tamara, because it seems like at the end of episode 4, there's this moment where you're beginning to see something might fall apart, and it could be her relationship with Tamara. So could you tell me what it's like playing a character who's so sure of herself in specific situations, but might begin to doubt as time progresses?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think well, as an actor, it's fun because you kind of go on this emotional journey and just kind of discover a lot of different things about where a character might be initially, and kind of find out where that arc is. For Delilah, she needs that friendship, and she's had that friendship since middle school. You know what I mean? For every single thing, I think it's part of what makes her so sure of herself. You know what I mean? You know how you have this person in your life that you can count on that's going to, back you up when you need backing up, and that you can talk about, like, to kind of get through things, and like, okay, cool, I got it now. She just doesn't have that anymore. So I think that's part of how she starts to, I think she starts to unravel a bit as it goes. She's got a lot of, I think, blind spots, in regards to how she's handling things emotionally. She's very sure of herself mentally and aware of how she should approach something, and whether something is right or wrong, and how she should best be in a situation. But I think this relationship, this friendship, it's so meaningful to her that it starts to, make things unravel in ways that she's not quite prepared for. But she shows up, she answers, every call to the best of her ability. I think similar to most of us in our day-to-day lives, we have some issue, that comes up, and maybe your best isn't the same that it would be if you had your girl with you, or if you had your backup. You know what I mean? It was a journey, it was, you take on every bit of the character that you play. And so it was challenging at times, but it was also really rewarding just to be able to talk to Jill afterwards and laugh and like, you know what I mean? Talk about all these other life things, because being in those moments with her that were so tense, were really difficult.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Carolyn, can I just say one small thing about this? I just want to say, like, what I would call, what we would all sometimes refer to as sisterhood, and Jill, Maahra, please chime in on this. But obviously, like, Black sisterhood, the solidity of the connection between Black women it's not just, how can I put this? It's not just a testimony to the strength of a community. It's also evidence of how much else got broken along the way, that it remains in many ways the last, one of the bastions, right, of solidity in the community. And so when you look at this season's story, if you looked at this season's story and said to yourself, what is the greatest threat to Black sisterhood? say, it's very unexpected what the answer is, right? The answer is capitalism. I think that's a really interesting idea. That's all.
No, thank you. And I understand that I understand what you mean by capitalism, corporate world, all of that. Thank you.
Sure.
KB again, and my question is actually for Charles. So you have directed, episodes of some very iconic TV shows, from Lincoln Heights to Greenleaf, of course. So talk a little bit about how you approached directing Delilah, particularly since you're also an EP, and how that challenged you professionally.
The thing that I wanted the most was to make it authentic and to make it organic. As Craig said earlier, that I really wanted to find that authenticity, and through of the actors, through also being at home, being sure that we were in the right places, that the house felt right. It was in the right neighborhood, the apartment, what people are wearing, how they feel. All those things were such a touch because all of you will know that. And I have to say, doing this right now and seeing your faces, it's just stunning. Thank you. It's just so great to see all of you smiling back at us. That's, again, when I talked about hope before, that's what this is, because I think there's a real renaissance in television, and that people of color are finding more and more voices, and we don't have to be myopic. We don't have to be in a box. And so this to me was throw this open and not be afraid to be normal. And because we're always, as I said, over the top, I wanted to see these women, regular women who are extraordinary. And so that was the idea for me always. What is the real part of this? And working with Maahra and Jill, we had so little time because of all the protocols, but we always tried to discuss what that was. We always tried to find every single thing that it rang true. And if it didn't, we would take the time to figure it out. It would make us late. We would have things we were wondering how we're going to get through this day, but it was really important that we all were on the same page of this creation. So Craig mentioned specificity. It's being organic and authentic, because that's the present that I hope we give to audiences.
Yeah, I think that there's a phrase that just occurred to me that I want to throw out there. I remember a couple of years ago, there was that phrase peak TV. Does this ring a bell?
Yeah.
P-E-A-K TV. And I think it's almost silly when you look back at it, how that word was used. And what I feel like we're entering now is maybe a phase of peaks TV, in the sense that it's not about one giant mountain of greatness. Now there's room for different worlds, for specificity in different areas. A show that's just about Charlotte, a show that's just about these people, just about those people. It doesn't have to be for everybody. There is no one peak TV anymore. Now there's room for different kinds of television, for different kinds of people, and it's okay that people are different. And there's enough of an audience for everything to be happening. And so I just think it's so much more exciting, that kind of diversity, than that old-fashioned notion that there's this one giant mountain of greatness. I think it's time for lots of mountains, lots of them.
And also, Craig, the women and the men in this show exist in every town, in every city. And that's what I also love, that these are the people we know, and we get to celebrate them, and that doesn't happen. And so ultimately for me, in directing it, it was the celebration of them as well.
Maahra, Charles, Jill, and Craig, thank you for joining AAFCA Roundtables today. On behalf of the world's largest group of Black film critics, have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ronda.
Bye.